Hey everybody, real quick before the video starts, I just want to give a shout out that I will be streaming this Friday, tomorrow, if you're watching when this goes up, December 30th, 2022, 7 p.m. Eastern over on my Twitch. That's twitch.tv/Simeonian, which I'll put the link in the description as well as on screen here. Please come over and check it out. I'll be doing my 2022 year in review, going over all 50 games that I've beaten this year in detail, see if my opinions have changed since earlier in the year, plus going over my two big lists, bottom 5 worst games I played this year, and my top 10 games of the 50 game challenge. Hope to see you there. And if you can't make it, I will upload the VOD right here on my YouTube channel the following day. So thanks so much for watching. It's been a crazy year, and I look forward to seeing you all on the Twitch stream. Mr. Ukulele, take it away. So here we are. The year has come to an end, and I've reached my goal of beating 50 video games from start to finish. But the big question is, what do you do for the final game? What could top this list and bring the year to a satisfying conclusion? Well, if it wasn't obvious by the first game of the year being Spyro 1, the 25th game being Spyro 2, and the title of this video on youtube.com, well, then I will tell you verbally that it is in fact Spyro Year of the Dragon on the PlayStation 1. So what is so very interesting to me about Spyro, one might ask? Why these games? Is it just your nostalgic pissant brain filling in those endorphins or whatever, making you dream of yesteryear and wishing time could go in reverse? The ever-waning reality of time never stopping, making you surround yourself in an era of 20 years ago when life had so much promise, the constant feeling that if you don't think about it, then it can't possibly be true? Or is it that the one constant in over 20 years of my life, I now realize has always been this damn purple dragon and his dragonfly friend? The thing is, I've always loved video games. From the youngest point in my life that I can honestly recall, I have memories of playing video games. Sonic 2 on the Genesis, even playing the NES at my grandparents' house, but the PlayStation 1, released in 95, I was 3 years old, right? By 1998, when I was 6, Spyro the Dragon was released, and then Spyro 2 a year later. At that age, those games stood out to me. Up until that point, it felt like every game that I saw or played was someone else's, regardless of who actually owned it. It always felt like I was experiencing someone else's adventure or journey, and yet, when it came to Spyro, something about it really stuck with me. I felt drawn to it. I can only explain it by saying it genuinely felt like it was the first game I played that was made for me. Obviously it wasn't, but as a 6 or 7-year-old, you couldn't convince me otherwise. All right, so it's the year 2000, right? At this point, I'm a huge Spyro fan. It's my favorite game series, and I'm playing Crash Bash with my brother, which is a Crash Bandicoot party game, and I find out there's a demo in the game. A demo for a game called Spyro Year of the Dragon. Now, the game had actually already been out at that point, but back then, it was a lot harder to keep up with gaming news, especially as an 8-year-old kid. So I lose my shit, it's all I want for Christmas, it's all I think about, Christmas Day comes, Santa comes through, and I play Spyro Year of the Dragon for the very first time. Now, as a kid, the idea of any video game that has a shit ton of different playable characters and playstyles is like the greatest thing since sliced bread. Now, it is, as an adult, the bane of my fucking existence. It just, complicates things. Every other character or playstyle is almost always a half-baked idea or just way worse than the main character or gameplay. But this is the main key ingredient in what makes Spyro Year of the Dragon stand out. The game introduces 4 new playable characters, all with vastly different playstyles. You have Sheila the Kangaroo, very platforming and close quarters combat heavy, Sergeant Bird, gunplay and flying, Bentley, a big lumbering brute, but he packs a punch, and Agent 9, which is essentially a first-person Doom shooter. Now, I just want to say, as an adult, I really appreciate the simplicity of the first Spyro. That core gameplay and what it asks of you to do to master that game is something I didn't appreciate as a kid. So playing Year of the Dragon, it's nice in the sense that the variety of gameplay types keeps things from getting stale. However, some of the most absolutely fucking brutal shit they expect from my 8-year-old self is insane. The Agent 9 stuff, honestly, all of it is rough. First-person Doom-style controls on the PS1, it ain't good. There's a lot of other stuff too, like skateboarding challenges, which aren't as bad, but there's definitely some precursor shit to the Ratchet and Clank 1 hoverboard races, and those were rough, so you can imagine this. And expecting someone playing Spyro to be able to play a skateboarding game, especially when you have to do the skateboarding races, which, dude, by the end, you just have to be perfect. Same with the speedway levels. I know I complained about those in the other games, but my God, the challenges on those levels can take forever, even from me now. And I'd be completely remiss if I did not mention the Yeti boxing. The goddamn Yeti boxing. The without a doubt hardest part of the game. You play as Bentley, you box a Yeti. That's it. This Yeti doesn't give a fuck. Sometimes he plays nice. Most of the time he beats the shit out of you. All you can do is hope and pray and mash those goddamn buttons. And the worst part is you have to beat him twice. And every single time I play this game, I always forget, and I beat him the first time, and then it all comes back, and I just want to put my fucking hands around his neck and fucking squeeze. Now, all that to say, this game has such a variety, such a wide and great cast of characters. All the games, honestly, have great writing. It's nothing crazy, but a lot of lines still have charm and still make me laugh to this day. The way these games, and especially Year of the Dragon, make the exploration and gem collecting feel like it's something you can get addicted to rather than being tedious is something that always draws me back. The boss fights, I noticed specifically in this playthrough, are a bit more challenging than in the previous games, where they can often be kind of a joke. There's definitely a lot of those brutal challenges that I mentioned earlier in the game, but just as many, if not more, fun challenges that test your skill, which you'll have definitely built up if you've made it through the first two games. Definitely some of the best music in any video game I've ever heard. The Midnight Mountain Homeworld theme is my absolute favorite song without a doubt. In fact, for every one of these videos I've made this year for the 50 game challenge, I've had music from all three Spyro PS1 games playing in the background. It's fun to complain about stuff, but I will say this game, along with the first two, really I think are some of the best games when you're starting out playing video games as a kid. Because it teaches you to have patience, overcome tough obstacles, appreciate music, laugh, get pissed. I mean, it really takes you through a whirlwind of emotions, and I can't say enough how much that stuck with me. Real quick, levels from the games that I like, all the games. Fireworks Factory, Treetops, Spooky Swamp, Haunted Towers, Metropolis, Skelos Badlands. These are all fantastic levels, and sometimes I feel like I focus too much on the negative, but these are great examples of the parts of the games that I think really shine. At the end of the day, these games, to go back to my earlier point, really have been a constant for the last 20 plus years of my life. There is no other game or series that I've played as often or as much as I have of these games in that time. At least once a year I make time for them, whether through OG hardware, digitally on PS3, registering my PlayStation Vita through the UK, and buying PlayStation points through the pounds system so that I can buy and play Spyro on there, or even just through emulation. No matter how I play, I always make time for these games, and I always will. This has been a very big year for me in gaming, and I've certainly never done anything like this before, and don't know if I ever will again, honestly. But to start the year with Spyro, to end it with him, I wouldn't have it any other way. I just want to say, I love you, Spyro, and I look forward to many more years of us playing together. Until next time, my friend.